Hello and welcome back to another video. This is Thrawn's Revenge here. This is part 2 of my LEGO Studio video. So, before we start, I'm gonna update y'all on what's been going on. Hopefully you all had a fantastic Christmas. I know I did. Hung out with some friends, ate some Chinese food. You know, the standard. Still working on that secret project. I'm sorry, I haven't finished it yet. The parts aren't here. The custom 3D printed parts have not been made yet. So I'm still waiting. Hopefully that will continue. And then I've been still doing streams here and there. I'm on my Twitch. I've mostly been playing Sunless Skies. If you haven't seen that game, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. The VODs are up on my Twitch. Links are in the description down below. So we'll go straight into it. Instructions. This is going to be a much longer video than the last video because instructions are more complicated. So to do instructions, here's my model. This is the model of me. So to do the instructions, you'll click the instruction button and you'll be brought into this page. So there's two sections. There's the step editor and there's the page designer. Step editor will decide what pieces go when and in what order, and that is all up to you. And then page design is how you order the pages of the steps. If you do not do a page design, it will be one step per page, and that takes up a lot of space and a lot of data. So I would always recommend to beautify your instructions, especially if you're like me and you want to sell it or you want people who aren't used to LEGO to be able to do it. Good page layout is very important. So we'll start with the step editor first. So I always go from outside to inside. Some people like to do the other way around, or as they're building, they will design their steps in advance. I don't do that. I feel it gets in the way of my creative process, so I would much rather do the designing of the instructions after the model is done, so I don't have to worry about it until the end. It does sometimes end up taking longer, but I feel that that's kind of worth it. So, for example, if I was to start with this, I'd want to go from the top down, right? So I would start by calling out some of these pieces. So I'd start by there, right? I'd keep going. And so you'll just click the parts that you want to call out, and you'll click step after or step before. Step before will put the part ahead, like so. Step after will put it after. So if I do like this, step after, it goes into that step instead, and it'll be labeled. And you can move these around however you want, right, with these arrow keys, and then if you want to get rid of it, you just delete it. Whatever you want to select, you'll just select those as a group, like so. You'll just click Control and then left click everything you want to move, and then you'll do step after. There's also an option to divide into steps. I never use this feature because I'd prefer to do it myself. I find it more often than not that it does make mistakes here and there. So I usually like to do it manually because I feel that I have better control. So we'll do the face, step after. We'll do this bit, step after. And then all of this, and then step after. And then, so I'll just keep going through this so you can kind of see. I'm going to try to go through it a little quickly, solely because I don't want y'all to be waiting for too long for this. So, oop. Step after. Step after. And so hopefully you see kind of how I'm doing this and like the thought process behind it. If not, that's okay. It's fairly easy to explain. So now we get to this part, right? So I could make these steps on their own. I could do these two step after, these two step after, these two step after. But instead, I'm going to show you how to do a submodel. So you'll create a submodel. So not only can you create a submodel in the Studio Standard, you can also create it in the step editor itself if you forgot to make a submodel or to simplify certain aspects of your build, right? So you'll create submodel, click OK. There's the submodel group 1. You'll do step after, right? Now, a piece was not moved. So hold on. Let me release and do it again. So there we go. So there's the submodel, right? To make the steps for the submodel, you have to click View Steps. If you do not do this, it will show the submodel like this. So instead of everything being organized as steps, it'll clump it all together and just show the image of the submodel. So we'll go into the steps and we will start working on those steps. So we'll do, let's say, here, here, step after, here, here, step after, step after. Then you'll do save. And then you click Return to Parent to go back. So that's about as far as I'm going to get on this, just so I can try to get through this fairly quickly so you guys don't have to wait. So, page design. So we're going to skip this, because this is what it looks like if you don't do all your steps. Pretend that's done, right? So here's the submodel, right? So it first goes straight into the submodel. What I would recommend is first, you click your format. And this is something that Sato Bricks has recommended to me, which is make a radius on everything to make it look smoother. So you click here, this is the radius. You'll click whatever number you want, and then update global. This will make everything the same. So every single one after this will now be updated to this. If you change the scaling, which is the size, right? Like so, and you click update global, that will update it to the same scale on everything. So if you're just having a single piece callout that is too big and doesn't fit on your screen, or doesn't fit on the step, and you change this percentage, you scale it, and you click update global, you will screw up everything. So don't do that. Make sure you update global only on things you actually want to globally update, or else you'll screw up everything else you've done. I've done that before. It is a pain in the ass to fix afterwards. You'll also want to do that here as well. So you'll see radius 6, update global. So that's all updated, right? But this feels clunky. So right now, it's a page, it's a step per page. So first, since this piece I feel has not a lot of steps, right? It's 4 steps. You can do convert to callout. So sometimes LEGO will have some sort of submodel system, and they'll point at it and be like, hey, here's the steps on the side of the page. So you'll click convert to callout. And you should only do this for things that you feel can fit, right? So I feel that this fits. And then you can change the radius. We'll do that real quick. Update global. And then to drag things around, you'll click on these 2 boxes, and you'll squish it in. And this will change the sizing. And you always want to try to make sure everything fits. So see this, I feel like this is too big. So let's squish it like this, right? Bam. And then the arrow. So to drag things in the window, you'll see the outline of the model itself. You'll move this around. And then the lines are the centers. So this is the center of the y-axis. This is the center of the x-axis. And this is pure 0. So you can just click like that. If your parts callout is too big, this can also be resized and reshaped in the same way that this can. You can squish this in however you want, just by left-clicking and dragging. Right? So let's say like that is comfortable. I usually like to make sure that these boxes are not touching the model. I don't like to have overlap unless I truly have to. Like, let's say it's a really large model and I'm looking at a specific section of the large model, then overlap is okay because you want to make sure you're showing the parts. Parts that are being added will be overlaid in red. You can change this by changing the styling. I think it's in global styles. So this is all the styling of everything, right? You will see all the different settings. So new part highlight, right? It's in red. I can change this to a different color. I can change it to blue. I can change it to whatever I want. So I'm going to go back to red. And this will be for everything, right? So like you want to do a submodel preview, you can turn that off. You want to have count multiplayer, you can turn that off. All of this can be kind of played around with at your own discretion. I do not play with these because whatever is the default, I think is perfectly fine. I'd rather not screw around with what the default is, so I usually just don't touch it. If you want to play with the settings, feel free to just kind of screw around, see what you like, see what looks good. That's a good way to have your own customized instructions. So, whatever feels comfortable for you is what I would recommend. So let's say you're going on to the next step, right? So for here, I feel like I can fit 2 here. So to change the layout of this, you'll click Change Layout, and then that'll give you all the different options. So let's say you have 6 small steps on a small model. You can do this one. Or let's say you have 4 steps that you could get through, right? So I think I could fit 2 here comfortably. So we'll click 1, 2, Apply. And that'll fit them both on the same page. So you'll lay it out how you feel is comfortable, right? I feel that's a good spot. But this isn't showing the sides right here, right? So now, if I want to change the model inside this window, you click Change Step View. This will now allow you to change scaling. And this will go for everything, right? So whatever is your current step, it'll change for every step after, not before. All of before is locked. There's an actual lock feature if you would like it to not be changed at all. I think the lock is no. There's a lock somewhere. I've never used it, so I personally don't know. I try to keep the step process simple because sometimes my instructions can take hours to make. So back to 100% scale. So to change the direction, right, we'll click rotate. And this will rotate for everything, right? So when I rotate once, everything else will rotate. So now to rotate this back, I'll do rotate, rotate, like so. And this is touching. It's still touching, so we're going to move it like so. There we go. So right there, is a good example. And so if I want to even more describe that, like, hey, you need to be rotating the model, you can click Insert and Flip. And this will show you that you need to be rotating your model. You can change the direction with these 2 arrows, and you can change the rotation, let's say 90 degrees, right? I personally don't think it's needed, but that's an example of like a rotation, right? So then when you're all done, I won't go through the whole process because I have a feeling that those simple steps are good. Oh, also, I forgot about this. When you're doing a call out, make sure that your arrow is pointed at what you're calling out, or else maybe people might not know. This arrow can also be changed right here in the color. I usually do green because I very rarely use like a bright green in my models, so it's very easy to see. At the end, when you're done, so let's assume this is my ending page right here. So I've finished. Let's assume I've finished, right? I like to add a parts list as well. So to do that, you'll click these 3 dots, and you can insert a page before or you can insert a page after. We're going to insert a page after because the parts list always goes at the end. And to insert a parts list, you'll do Insert, Bill of Materials. And this will put every single material and every single piece that you have used in your build. Right now, Studio is having a bit of a bug where sometimes all of the pages will be on loading for some reason. I don't know why. They're working on fixing it right now, but we'll move on from here. So right now you can see that these numbers are too scrunched. So to change it, I have spacing options down here. I usually go with 0.3 for everything because that gives a little bit of wiggle room. And now there's enough space for everything, as you can see. I might actually increase that spacing by 0.5. Yeah, that's more comfortable. So there we go. So everything's now spaced. And there's my parts list. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of kind of how the instruction process works for Studio. If any of this was not clear enough, please feel free to put in the comments below if any part is confusing to you. And hopefully I made this process as understandable as possible. I hope to make maybe one more video like this of maybe how I build or examples of some techniques that I use that should be able to help you when you're building. If you're interested in that, please let me know in the comments, and I will look at some of my models and see if there's some outlying techniques that I feel are a little interesting on how I do things versus how other people do things. I will also hopefully have an actual mock review video, maybe by Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know yet. I will let you know. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Links in the description if you want to see my Instagram, my Twitch, Rebrickable, all that jazz. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.